Welcome to week 3 of the BPL AFL Vidcast, and we've got Wayne Carey with us again. Wayne, how are you?
Charlie, very well, thank you.
Now, you created a bit of a stir last week, didn't you, when you suggested that Carmichael Hunt, rugby league convert and Gold Coast Suns debutant, wasn't quite up to the mark. You said if it was anyone else, he wouldn't get a game, and you thought he hadn't done enough probably to earn his spot in the side, which created a very spirited debate. Don't
you start talking like Robbo as well. I think what's important is what I did say last week, and that was I wasn't privy. So for all those people that are watching this, don't take snippets of it. Listen to everything that I say. I'm not privy to what Karmichael Hunt does behind the scenes. I don't know how he is as a leader around the club, how he trains, how he goes about his business, how he's respected, and how much they put on their bodywork in terms of their defenders. What I did say was at a time during the year, if he continues to just get 5 possessions a game, get goals kicked on him, that's just not going to be enough. And it will cause unrest within a side when young guys who know how to read the game, are better marks, are better kicks, and are fitter than what he is, that'll start to cause a little bit of unrest within the club. And that was purely an opinion. Look, I'm not here to pod Carmichael. He's a lovely guy. I think that he has a little way to go. Does he play again this week? Well, I don't think they'll drop him after one. They'll give him another chance. Certainly, still to me, after watching last week, doesn't look fit enough. But in saying that, Carmichael, keep going. I think you've done a great job so far. And let's be honest, it wouldn't have mattered who you were last week, whether you were James Hird mixed with Voss, mixed with Buckley. When the ball's coming down there that often, wouldn't matter who you were, they would have kicked goals. So in saying that, he's got a little way to go, but in no way am I trying to be too critical, because there are a lot of players that really struggle.
Did the coach do him any favours by starting him on? He ended up on Sean Hampson, I think, to begin with, didn't he?
Well, I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, look, I think the comment's been made. He hasn't got the fitness or the nimbleness to go with the smaller types, and yet he's too short to play on the big guys. I've heard comments that his body work is quite good, but obviously his fitness is still not up to AFL standard. And that these guys have done numerous pre-seasons, that type of running over their whole lives. Carmichael's just started doing that. So, as I said before, he's got some work to do, but, where he'll fit in, I can't see. There's been suggestions, play him forward, play him through the midfield. Well, if you can't read it down back, sorry to all the defenders, down back's the easiest position to play. If you can't read it there, you're not going to read it anywhere.
Is that where all the blockheads play?
Well, yeah, no, not where all the blockheads, only a couple.
He's a long-term project, as we discussed last week as well, so don't want to put words into your mouth, but do you think he will make it eventually?
I think he's got a long road ahead.
And the team itself, will they win a game this year?
Yeah, look, I think on last week's game, they're certainly going to struggle. Some people are suggesting that'll be their best game, they would have been up for it. I'm not so sure. I tend to agree, and I'm not sure who said it, they don't look as fit as some of the other sides now, whether that's because, they are young guys, they haven't got that, these guys haven't done as many pre-seasons as the hardened clubs. They're probably not as fit, so hence their bodies are not as strong. So whether that deteriorates over the year and they get worse in the second half of the year, I don't know. They may pinch one or two. They may pinch one or two. Okay. Certainly, if you relax. Some of those kids are going to have absolute beauties at one stage, and they might just upset someone.
Brisbane, maybe.
Yeah, there might be a few.
They're just so small, aren't they? They're 19 and 20, and they've, as you say, they've had one decent sort of pre-season. They're just so easily brushed off the ball. Yeah, that's right. And look, I thought actually the start of the game, for that first minute or so, they started okay. For all those people being critical of Gary Ablett, for a guy that hasn't done too much pre-season, I thought Gary was actually quite good myself. I really did. I thought he tried hard. But like you said, in general, they were just overpowered. And life in the Gold Coast midfield will be a whole new experience after being surrounded by 5 or 6 champions who took a fair bit of the heat off him.
It won't take too long though. It won't take too long for a few of those kids to become bona fide very good players in their own right. So hence he'll get a bit of support in the not too distant future.
Okay. The second issue I want to talk to you about, and it's probably an issue close to your heart, which is North Melbourne and Brent Harvey, who filled your shoes as captain of the club. made the unusual statement last week, or the unusual strategy of singling out two players, if you can actually single out two players, Sam Wright and Lockie Hansen, saying they were underperformers. North Melbourne today have said they don't want to get into the blame game, and I think Brent Harvey himself has apologised. What do you think? What do you think of a strategy like that?
Yeah, look, and as you said, I think he would have apologised straight away. Not something that a captain should do. Certainly, if you're going to belittle a player, and as captain, whether it be the coach or the captain, certainly within the group. And we know that happens, but the last place you'd want to do it is in the media. The other thing that you don't do...
National radio.
Then the other thing that you don't do is you don't blame the young players. One thing, when you play well, it's a team game. And, you know, there's a lot of guys struggling there, a lot of guys. For them to lose by that amount and play the way they did, certainly you can't pin it on the young guys. There's no doubt. Now... I found the comments, strange. Boomer might be old in terms of games played and being a great player for the club, but in terms of being a skipper, he's still very young, and he'll learn from that. I don't think he'll ever do it again.
You must have been very frustrated when you were captain with some of your younger players, and must have felt like giving them a verbal clip over the ear, but restrained yourself. When is the time to do that? In private after the game?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, you know, that it's so important. Exactly. And there were a lot of times where you'd grab a guy, not only a young guy, but a senior guy if they were struggling, but more importantly, build them up. And I think you're probably more, and I won't use the word degrading, but probably harsh when players are playing really well. You sort of want to bring them back to earth a little bit when they're not playing so well. It's very important that you pick them up and keep them positive, because at the end of the day, it'll be that lower tier players, the younger players that mean whether you play finals or not, because you get a consistent performance by guys that have been around a while, and you get inconsistent performances from the young guys. So it's important that they are up at all times.
But there are all sorts of different personalities in a footy club, obviously, and I think you were someone who responded quite well to probably straight talking from your coach, and you tried to rise to the challenge that was given to you by Dennis. But there are obviously other players who are a bit more introverted, who might shrink like wilting violets if they cop a bake.
Well, that's right. So hence you don't do it in the media. And I think Scotty's been a very positive coach so far. I don't know what he would have said. I don't think there'd be too many positives out of the game on the weekend. But that's the thing about the Kangaroo, and that's why I found the comments very strange, because, okay, Boomer got a couple of kicks himself, but really the team performance overall was terrible. So how can you pinpoint a few young blokes?
Yep. Let's look ahead to round 3. Kicked off by Carlton and Collingwood on Friday night. Channel 7 has decided to show it live. So that means you'll miss out on better homes and gardens. You unhappy about that?
That's all good. Yeah, look, I don't know. I don't look into that too much. It wouldn't bother me whether they played it live or not, to be honest. But it's great for those supporters that can't get into the ground, because there will be 80, 90,000 there, which is great. 1 versus 2. And, it's great for those people that can't go to watch it live. There's no doubt about that, but it doesn't bother me too much.
Carlton bullied the Gold Coast last week, as we touched on, which they won't be able to do to Collingwood.
And Collingwood bullied North. So they've both had easy wins. It's probably going to tell us more what sort of form Carlton are in. We know that Collingwood are a very good side. They won the flag last year. They won the pre-season comp. They are absolutely flying. Their on-ballers are flying, and Carlton have beaten up 2 very low sides, one in Richmond and one in the Gold Coast. So it'll tell us a lot about Carlton, not so much about Collingwood.
A quick tip on who will win that one?
Collingwood.
Comfortably?
I think they'll win. I think they'll win by 30 odd points.
Yep. And just finally, St Kilda play a very big game against Essendon, sort of winless, and need something to get this season going.
Massive game for the Saints. Bigger game for the Saints than it is for the Bombers, I think. The Bombers will be disappointed. That was a game they should have won last week. Watched all of that game. St Kilda, a draw for the year. Lenny Hayes, absolute champion, and I mean that in every word, an absolute champion. It'll be a huge effort if they can get up in this one, but I think the Saints have got a lot of character, and I'm actually tipping the Saints to win.
Beautiful. Wayne, Carey, thanks very much for your thoughts again. Look forward to seeing you again next week.
Thanks, Charlie. Cheers.
Cheers.